album review time, and for this review, Duncan Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from New Zealand sludge band Endboss.
Yep.
The band's new album, They Seek My Head, will released on April 8th via Rough Peel Records. So, this is the debut album from Endboss. After working on the album in between lockdowns over a 10-month period, the album was then produced by James Goldsmith and Endboss, and then recorded and mixed by James Goldsmith and mastered by Will Borza. So, gentlemen, I think, I couldn't remember for sure, but I think this might be the first band from New Zealand that we've talked about on reviews, possibly.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Could be. Although
it's not like, because we've listened to music from there before.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what the name of it. I had they were a kind of sludgy. Is it meat? No, something to do with Juggernaut. No,
I don't know what to call it.
Jugger Meat. This is Rebecca.
Jugger Meat. That sounds cool. If there's not a band out there called Jugger Meat, I want to hear that.
I'm trying to remember. I've got a distinct
let me tell you
memory
the story.
now of a band which was meat based, and I can't remember. They were from New Zealand, and we reviewed them way back in the Rock and Reels days.
Well, fun enough, about 9 years ago, Duncan reviewed an album for our last website, Rock and Roll Reviews, from a band from New Zealand. It was on Duncan's Quickies on YouTube.
Was it meat related, Dave?
No, it wasn't meat related. It was a band called Beastwars.
Beastwars?
Oh, yeah.
Is that ringing a little bell?
Beastwars does, but there's a band that are meat related. That's gonna be it's gonna annoy me now, Dave. But yeah, I remember Beastwars. Beastwars were cool.
Yes. So you reviewed their self-titled album back about 9 years ago, and the drummer for Endboss is a guy called Nathan Hickey, who also plays drums in Beastwars.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, it's all coming back. It's all coming around, full circle.
A drum circle of a different order.
But this band, Endboss, their new album is 8 tracks long, with a runtime of about 32 minutes. And as I mentioned, stylistically, this is a nice wedge of kind of doomy sludge, but with a bit of a kind of dose of kind of bluesy kind of melody to it. I think I'm going to, that kind of melodic streak is where I'm going to kind of start with this, I suppose. Vocally, this is handled by Emma Jane Thorpe, or EJ, I think she goes by. And I just want to say the vocals on this are fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, chef's kiss from Duncan. That's high praise. When that first kind of track kicked in, the first kind of name that kind of shot to my mind was Pete Stahl, and that's Pete Stahl, not Pete Steele, by the way, just in case the accent might confuse you. Different Pete. Pete Stahl. Pete Stahl is a vocalist of LA kind of doom band Goatsnake. And I found a lot of the kind of pronunciation and some of the phrasing was kind of similar between EJ and Pete Stahl. She has a very kind of flexible kind of vocal style.
Yeah.
Particularly in the way she kind of bends the melody. Almost kind of goes for notes that you wouldn't necessarily expect. As I said, it's almost kind of bluesy, kind of inspired. Feels quite kind of free flowing, but very graceful, and it works fantastically with the band's sound. She doesn't really do anything on the kind of aggressive side of things at all. It's all melody, but her tone is very, very kind of hypnotic due to the kind of different vocal ranges that she moves through. It's got a little bit of a kind of trippy feel to it. But they do have one of the other guys in the band doing the kind of odd kind of part of backing vocals, so you still get a bit of that kind of, kind of gruff vocal coming through. It give you a bit of variety, which was a great idea adding that in. Harmonies are also really well placed on this as well. Mm-hmm. There's a track called Becomes the Gold, which has these big kind of warm vocal harmonies sitting in the background that just elevate the whole chorus to that next level. But musically, it's pretty interesting as well. It has the those kind of like mountainous riffs that, for me, they kind of evoke bands like Spelljammer or Windhand, and even, there's a little bit of Beastwars in there as well. And although like tracks like Punished, which is aptly named, it does kind of grind you into like submission, but it does have like this kind of layer of clean guitars and lead work that's kind of sitting in the background, and that obviously kind of thickens the sound as well, but it kind of makes the album much more rewarding when you hear and you notice those little kind of additions. Speaking of the thickness, Kyle, I'm sure you would appreciate on track 4 there's a track called Covet. That bass, man, holy shit, that is just all girth. Like when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, listen
maybe
to that.
kids listening to this.
Doubtful, but it just like rattles right in your face. Absolutely loved it. But again, there's really some really cool kind of lead work going on in that track as well. The kind of end part where the lead guitar's working with in conjunction with the vocal melody was really cool. Excellent stuff. I think like I was starting to feel like tempo wise, it felt a little similar at times. But just when I was starting to feel like that, like they needed to like kind of inject something with a little bit more pace, they dropped in Nail and Tooth, and that track kind of leans more into like a punkier, almost kind of like sludge type territory, which I really liked. And then you could say the same for Lorded Over. It definitely has more of a kind of driving feel to it that pulls you out of that like kind of usual kind of doomy tempo. I think for me though, the kind of highlight was a track called The Crawl. Absolutely loved that track. Really, really cool atmosphere, very kind of smoky feeling. I just thought that the whole kind of atmosphere and ambience they created was awesome. It's doomy, but it's quite kind of melancholic. And I thought EJ's vocals were very kind of haunting, but by far the highlight on the album for me. I was pretty impressed with this, I must admit. For a debut, like I think these guys are showing huge potential at a very early stage of their career, and I only imagine that's going to get better over time. I think albums 2 and 3, I think you'll probably hear a band that can easily compete with some of the best bands in the genre. You're already getting a bit of a taste of that on They Seek My Head, but there are a kind of like a bunch of really great moments on this album. And I think on the next release you'll probably hear those moments going to multiply if I'm correct anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Hadn't heard of the band before, obviously this just been their debut, but yeah, thoroughly impressed. What about you guys? Kyle, what did you think?
A lot of what you said, actually.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the same stuff. I must have played this about 600,000 times. I
Wow.
love it. It's
That
so
many?
yeah. It's like I got it. I don't know, about a week ago, maybe a bit less than a week ago. It's just been on repeat.
Yeah.
It's just the thing I've listened to the most since I got it. It's fantastic all the way through.
Yeah.
Just love it. I love that it's like it's doomy and sludgy, and I've been getting super into that kind of stuff recently.
Yeah.
Slow paced, great. I think it's a great tempo to start out with. Yeah, I feel I will agree that I think it does get a little bit like, okay, you need to speed it up, but then they do. So it's like there's no gripe at all.
Yeah.
But no, I just love that whole thing, and then they mix in all this melancholic melody, and it's a bit bluesy, and it's very riffy at the same time as doomy and sludgy. It's not all just doom and gloom the whole time.
Yeah.
Real unique mix of stuff I've not really heard before, and I love her vocal range and her vocal tone and the way she uses the voice to. She's not just singing on top of music; she's complementing the rest of the arrangement and the composition. It's really well done. For this to be a debut is honestly a little bit mind-blowing for me. Like a lot of debut albums you hear, it's like, oh yeah, it's a sludge album, it's a doom album, it's a whatever. But these guys are super unique, and I've not really heard anything quite like it. I feel like I've said that a lot recently. Like, I've not really heard a lot of anything like this band, and that's a good thing, I guess, for the show, for metal. There's a lot of bands out there that sound the same as everyone else, but these guys do not at all. I couldn't really pin down anything like a full fans of. I'm sure it's in the notes that I've missed, but but yeah, I mean,
no, I know what you're saying. There's little elements of things that remind me of other bands, but they do definitely have their own thing going on as well.
Absolutely. I mean, especially Nail and Tooth, that song, man.
That's
Jesus
cool.
Christ, that sequence of those 3 songs, Covet, Nail and Tooth, and The Crawl, that you mentioned, it's my favourite part of the whole album. It's great. And I do want to mention also the ending of the album. They just cut, done. I love it. It's great. So yeah, and the production is massive.
I was just thinking that actually when I was listening, I was thinking Kyle was going to be all over this production. He's going to love this.
He loved it. So it just sounds so natural and energetic at the same time. It's not fucked with too much. Everything's nice and clear, but it's not too polished. It's like it's got my name written all over it. And like you said, as a connoisseur of the girthness, that bass made my face happy, made my pants happy.
Excellent.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
That's what I like to hear, Kyle. If Kyle's happy, I'm happy. Duncan, are you going to make me happy? What did you think?
If it makes you happy, Dave, it's not bad. If it makes you happy, then why the hell am I so sad? Only joking. There was a British band, and I was furiously trying to find them during the review here, like desperately trying to, because there was a female-fronted sludgy doomy band from the UK within the last 10 years that I loved. So much so that I can't find them on my iPod now and cannot remember anything they fucking did. But their singer had a range which was not too dissimilar to this. And it was it was going to be my, well, if you like this and you were thinking, because I don't think that band exists anymore, then this would be the natural progression into it. These guys sound a bit more rougher around the edges overall. Emboss do a lot of what I enjoy in music just in general. I think the kind of stonery, doomy sort of stuff that they do works really, really well. What I liked about the riff playing on it specifically is that whilst you're getting some of those kind of classic kind of like headbangy sort of riffs, they are not scared for the guitars to start like actually moving up into almost kind of alt rock territory with some of the chords, but grounded by that bass tone, which is still carrying through the heaviness. And the production's spot on for that. I think it allows them to do that. If the bass was even slightly weaker, then the song would fall flat. So I love those elements about it. Interestingly enough, one of the things just off the back of chatting to our friend in the interview, to me it felt obvious that some of these songs have been recorded at different times. There's at least one or two songs in the middle where the mix didn't sound the same overall. It just sounded just a little bit, just something different, to the point where I was like, is this like an extra track or something that's been added in here from like a studio session or whatnot? But it still sounded great. So to me, once again, testament to the band themselves are really fucking good. Vocally, this is where the album shines. She's got an incredible voice. I mean, genuinely an incredible voice. Kind of smoky bluesy tone that she brings in. Sits really well. Blues fits well over doom and stoner music anyway. But it's not just a kind of a flexion that she's putting on her vocal overall. Is genuinely the range and the tone that she's comfortable singing in. Those accents that she puts on, specifically at the end, those hooks, those little extra notes that she adds in, that to me is organic in her voice. It's not, she's doing it because that's how singers do it within this genre. That's just how she sings, or it's creatively how she pictures melody. And I think that is fucking great. Her voice is a voice I could listen to constantly. It's so weird because we went through the longest period of time where this genre was dominated by male vocals. I think in the last year and a bit we're starting to see like a real renaissance for female fronted doom music. And they're all different. Like we spoke recently, although the review won't be out yet, for the band Mesa, who are weirdly in a similar genre, kinda, but not the same. And then by extension, a band like King Woman, who are doing a much more subdued, slower version of this, but all existing in there. And those are three vocal styles that are completely different, but fit specifically in there. And then I was thinking about male vocals, and I was like, you don't get the same dexterity from male vocals in this genre. they're either overtly aggressive or they're Phil Anselmo, and there's no ground. There's no ground in the middle. You know what I mean? It's like I think weirdly of all the genres of metal that exist out there, I think female vocals actually suit this genre the best because there's so much you can do with it. I enjoyed the kind of gruffer male backing vocals as well. I think they're added in at the right points. They're also not overused. I think if they're overused, it just identifies that the chick can't do that, which you know, I think is, you know, that being used sparingly also wouldn't suit the music overall. So yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I don't think necessarily it is a flawless album front to back. It is only 33 minutes long though, so you will breeze right through this comfortably, and there's plenty of ideas going through. At times it gets a bit samey, but show me the doom sludge band that doesn't get samey by about the halfway mark of the album. It's just the nature of the beast. It's just the nature of the songwriting. However, there's plenty flourishes here and ideas and stuff they're doing that is kind of off the beaten track. Specifically, like I say, that kind of alt rock stuff that they bring in out of nowhere, like in chorus sections and whatnot on the guitar, while the bass is driving things with the drums, that make me excited to see where they go next. The other thing I found out is there is a band from New Zealand called Meat, and they released an EP, but we didn't review it, Dave, so I must have found it. Which makes me wonder what the fuck was going through my head when I found that. This band not being related to Meat at all, and Boss are really good. I think there's plenty in here to get your teeth sunk into. And I'm just going to say that after listening to this album, you may feel full. No, I like this quite a bit.
Excellent.
Just want to say, what a band name, right? End Boss.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Boss.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Ratings. What are we scoring this new album from End Boss? For me, at this moment, I'm probably a 4 out of 5 on this one. I think there are absolutely moments on this album where it starts to reach beyond the 4 into that kind of 4.5 territory. But as I said, I totally expect them to deliver that type of consistency throughout their next release. I can totally imagine them just kind of leveling up on every release. If this is what they sound like on album 1, I can imagine.
Album 1 recorded remotely over 10 months. Then I expect, like, you get some gigging underneath this. You get like all these things refined up, and then you get them back in a studio.
100%. Yeah, so it's 4.4 out of 5 for me at the moment. Kyle, what are you thinking?
Exactly the same, for the exact same reasons. So,
excellent.
I agree. 4 out of 5.
Excellent. And Duncan?
Let's make a trio. It's 4. 100%. This is a band that are now definitely on the radar, and I will be watching with interest and curiosity to see what comes next.
Excellent. End Boss, They Seek My Head drops on April 8th on Rough Peel Records. If you want to check it out, you can check out the band at facebook.com/endbossband, and you can also check them out on Bandcamp if you want to pre-order this release. I'll put links in the Spotify, on the YouTube and all that sort of stuff, so you can check them out. Let us know what you think. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on the album when it drops. That's the review. Thank you for checking that one out.